Commissioner Doty.
Here.
Commissioner Carwin.
Here.
Commissioner Phillips.
Present.
Vice Chair Sobek.
Here.
Chair Thomas.
Here. We'll go ahead and stand for the flag salute. Hand on your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Okay, have there been any agenda modifications, Jen?
No, sir.
Okay. We don't have any presentations. Are there any public comments?
No, sir.
All right. I need a nap. We go ahead and we have approval of the minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes as written.
And do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nothing on the consent calendar, so that moves us to our first item, the public hearing for the Development Code, Chapter 9.12. Do we have to go through the whole thing? Has this been noticed and all that?
Yes, once you open the public hearing, we can go through that.
Okay. So, do we have a staff presentation on
Yes, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, this is Development Code Amendment number 2015-187, and it is an amendment to Chapter 9.12 of the Development Code, which is the slope, hillside, and ridgeline development regulations that are part of the Menifee Municipal Code. As several of you, I think, will recall that this did come before the Planning Commission back in April of last year when the hillside regulations were being developed. The Planning Commission adopted a resolution recommending approval to the City Council at that time. When it did go to the City Council, there were some changes that were made, which I believe as it went forward, it actually addressed the issue that we're readdressing again tonight. It actually had the wording, or would have allowed, as the code is the code amendment is proposing this evening, is to add the two words, is to allow the projects that the city or county had been approved, the tentative track maps or grading permits or other entitlements that have been in place. So what this does is just, rather than just having the city, it's adding the two words or county, which is essentially what the commission had previously recommended when it went to the city council. Since that time, it had gone through a process. It had been at the staff level, city attorney, there's been others that have been involved with this. It's kind of come around full circle again. It really only affects, as I understand it, two tracks within the city, tentative track maps, and I apologize. I did give the staff the night off tonight, so they didn't have to come to the meeting. But basically, I'll point out real quickly for the commission, it would be this tract up here, and this tract here would be the two, and the track numbers are 31456 and 31194, I believe.
It's mainly that parcel behind, what's it called, the something Oak Retirement Home or whatever on Valley. It's right behind
Yeah.
that one. And then right behind your farm.
So it really won't change anything. There's still standards and requirements that they'd still have to comply with in terms of the grading and some of the regulations and so on. That's why I think we're bringing it back forward now to just to kind of clarify that. And with this action here, what we are recommending that you recommend approval of this to the City Council, and that the fact that this amendment does not require, it's exempt from the CEQA review process as well. And that's, again, to clarify, that's the CEQA to amend the code itself. Any project that goes through that requires grading or the hillside or development, so on, obviously, that would be subject to all the CEQA requirements. So just want to clarify what that exemption is, just for the action taken to amend the development code, the municipal code. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions the commission may have.
Mr. Brady, I just, I know we have two citizens tonight in our audience. I didn't know if maybe they wanted to see the map, if they had, just in case if they did want to see see the
Yeah,
map,
we can-
that we could let them see that, those
Sure.
two track, just out of courtesy.
Yeah, I'll put it on the table.
Thank you.
Want to allow them to talk if they have comments?
Yeah. Did you want to see the map as all? Okay. Okay, so does the commission have any questions of staff?
I do. The standard that the city adopted, was that the same as the county standard, or did the city make any changes to the standard in adopting the language?
The hillside language?
Correct.
Um,
And here's the reason I'm asking is if we add or county, are we adding two different standards to this, or are they identical and it's just a language game?
Yeah, and I think, again, that what the city attorney was saying is that I don't know if they were identical or not. I don't know that answer to that question, but similar process, similar approach to it. So I think there are similarities between them. So they're not, I think if the concern is you're creating something different than what was approved, is that the question?
Right. My main concern is by allowing the city had the benefit of looking at all of the different ordinances that were out there and adopting the municipal code for the city. And we had the option of adopting language from other places or changing it to adapt to our particular needs. And the question being is, this particular ordinance that the city created, that I presume was based on the county's language, did they just parrot the county's language?
Who was here? I was here. Were you here?
Yeah, I
All
was
three
here.
of us
We-
were-
Because we practically rewrote.
Yeah,
Yes.
and there was quite a bit of language that was more definitive. It was more particular. It was more stringent much more stringent than the county.
So then, based on that, my particular question of staff is, has this project proposal been measured against the city standard? If the city was more restrictive, does this meet the city's standards?
The code itself? Or, see, what we're looking at is the code amendment tonight. What the projects, would just be allowing those projects that were previously approved prior to the code going into place would then be able to be moved forward.
Meaning that they were grandfathered. It wouldn't apply to them because they were already approved before we became a city and adopted the Hillside Ordinance.
Right, and
all
that's
that's
my
saying.
concern is, was there a specific aspect that the city went, you know what, the county allows this, but if we had the option, we wouldn't allow this. So in our ordinance, we're going to deny this. We're going to bar this out with the language.
In our discussions, if I remember right, many discussions we had, that those developments that were already approved, it was assumed that they were approved with the Hillside Ordinance that we created. They were exempt.
So this was an oversight,
This,
Yes.
but it was in,
somewhere somebody wanted this wording in there, even though it alluded to being okay. And so, because that was a discussion that we had, I believe we heard from even some developers maybe on that so anything that was already approved, they were left out of it.
And the commissioners who were here and did participate in this, it's my understanding this actually was the intent of what the commission was to actually, I think you had this wording in there initially. It would have allowed this to occur as it went to the council then. The council, for whatever reasons at that point, there were some discussions about previously approved in the county and so on. So this is essentially, as I understand it, is basically what the commission originally had approved.
and that makes complete sense, and that's kind of what I expected. But as someone who reads these statutes strictly, if we're going to adopt two little words that include an entirely different standard than the one the city adopted, that concerned me if that wasn't the intent at the time, and make sure that was considered.
Okay, good point.
Yeah, and just to tag on to that, if you look at the last part of the sentence, it talks about that these approved maps, permits, et cetera, have to be consistent with the restrictive regulations that were previously in effect. So they did go through while not exactly the same type of process that we have in our current municipal code, a similar type of process in the past.
Being the fairly new guy, I wanted to go through that history. I
That's-
appreciate you taking the time to make sure we're doing the right thing.
That was a good question. I appreciate that, too. Thank you.
Any other questions of staff? Okay, if there's none, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Was this properly noticed?
Yes, sir.
And have we received any correspondence?
Yes, the commission's received correspondence from Richland Communities in your blue folders.
Yeah. And then I believe there was also, there's the one that's also in our original folder here, right, from,
Yeah, that was included in the packet.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Then, do we have any public speakers on this?
We don't. We do not.
Okay. Then we'll go ahead and, having nothing to do here then, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing,
Correct.
7:11. And do we have any discussion with the commission, comments, anything in regards to this? Everyone understands the whys, the wherefores, and all that good stuff? Having said that, then do we have a motion to approve, to adopt resolution, I'm sorry, what's the actual number on this one? 15230, it is there, okay, so adopt resolution PC 15230. Do we have a motion for that?
I make a motion that we adopt resolution number PC 15-230, recommended to the city council.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, should we take a roll call?
Yes, Commissioner Doty,
Yes.
Commissioner Carwin,
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips, Vice Chair Sobek,
Yes?
Chair Thomas.
Yes. Okay. So hopefully the council will not take that word county out again, and they'll leave it. So that moves us on to item 10.1, which is the discussion of the meeting dates for the Planning Commission in November. Would you like to address that, Bob?
Yes, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. In November, the two meetings do fall. One falls on Veterans Day, November 11th, and then the other is on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So staff wanted to bring this back just to get concurrence from the commission on rescheduling those dates to date specific at this time. And if there is any reason that we need to cancel them, if there's a light agenda or something, then we can always go ahead and cancel the meetings at a later point in time. But what we're suggesting is that the November 11th meeting date be moved to Monday, November 9th, and then rescheduling the November 25th meeting date to Tuesday, November 24th. And that would then, if anyone wants to get out of town or if they have anything on those holidays or those particular dates, then they would be able to, this would not affect that at all. So,
Well, I already have calendared that far ahead. Actually, on Tuesday before Thanksgiving, on November 24th, is our Thanksgiving service that will take place that night. It's kind of become a tradition, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, the Interfaith Council does a Thanksgiving service. And I'm involved with that.
What if we then, why don't we just plan on going dark on that day, and if need be, we could bring it back, but do you see anything coming forth, any projects that must be on that day that would preclude us from going dark?
not at this time. However, we do have a number of projects that we're very busy at the staff level, and we are moving things, trying to keep them moving through the process as well.
What's the date of the special election?
Third?
The 3rd.
Lisa would know that one.
We
I'm concerned about our roster that close in time after the election. I guess the new council person
That
wouldn't be
would-
appointed and
That
have
would, the new council person wouldn't be appointed till December.
till December, so that would, okay, we'd still have a full roster at that point.
Or the other way would be then to just move it to both the Mondays. The,
Is it staff's recommendation that we have a lot to get done and missing a meeting would clog up the works?
yeah. Well, yeah, because we do have a number of items coming through. We've got development, the code regulations that we want to continue. We're going to start bringing those back to the commission as well. As the city attorney just pointed out too, is, we've got December, which is going to be probably compressed, or we may have dates there because of the holidays as well. So my suggestion would be is to move it to a date certain, and if we need to cancel it, then go ahead and cancel it. So if the 24th doesn't work,
Well,
then-
and that's just me,
Right, and that's-
that's just one of us. I don't know about everyone else. I try to support that event. The entrance fee is a canned food item, non-perishable item that helps the cupboard for the Christmas time. And it's a free event they've done now for 4 years. It's
Can we
a
do
nice-
those 2 Mondays then? I mean, that's something that,
I'm okay with Monday.
so
All right,
if
so
we go the
the
9th and the
9th.
23rd?
okay.
What about Commissioner Phillips? Do you have school that night?
No, I actually schedule my school nights on Thursdays. So Wednesdays and Thursdays. So I don't have a problem. I just don't like Mondays. Bureaucratically speaking, I've always despised Monday.
You think you could bring yourself to hoisting yourself into this chair on one Monday, or 2 Mondays, I should say?
I'm going to devote energy to it. Yeah. But I don't have a problem with Mondays. It's just
I do.
because I'm back in school, Thursday will be out. So Monday's okay.
So then we're Monday, November 9th, and then Monday, November 23rd.
Open is the public discussion.
Is that the,
Consensus, I believe.
Consensus?
Is that okay,
Yep,
Commissioner Doty?
That just puts a lot of work on our Miss Jennifer over there for getting stuff ready. Sorry.
She doesn't have gray hairs yet.
Well, you have to have it ready anyway by Thursday. It's just 2 days less for us in reading.
so really, you just have less time.
Yeah, we have less time. That's right.
So, is everyone okay then? We're going to set that for November 9th and 23rd for our planning commission meetings for the month of November. And everyone okay?
Now, that will be subject to cancellation if the agenda is not passed?
There's no, yeah, if we feel that if items aren't necessary, they can be rescheduled to either the meeting before or adjusted to the first meeting in December, then yeah, we'll be more than happy to cancel the one of those meetings then, if that's the case. And I would probably guess it'd probably be that Thanksgiving week one would be the one, we look to try to cancel, if we do cancel any of them.
Well, and on that note, everyone can put on their calendar that Thanksgiving service, that evening of gratitude. It's going to be at the United Methodist Church. It's a really wonderful hour evening. So, time well spent.
Consensus. All right.
Okay. Any further comments, Bob, from the development director?
Yes, I just wanted to let you know that next meeting on September 23rd, I will not be here. We do have several items that are scheduled to go forward. We have some map extensions, but I will be out of town on that day, so I won't be here, but I will be back for the next meeting. So I just want to let the commission know that.
Okay. So who will be in your
Lisa will
stead?
be, Lisa Gordon, yeah.
Okay,
she'll be.
Gordon. Do we have any commissioner comments on activities or anything else you would like to discuss or agendize for next time? No?
Yes, I would like to bring up just a thought. We're going to be going back into reviewing the development codes and trying to get that off the ground. I would like to request, if possible, that we have something of a workshop to where staff and the planning commission could get together sort of informally to where we can establish spirit and intent so that we're not on two separate pages when we are presented with the various codes and ordinances. If we could have something of a, this is what we're trying to do from the staff perspective, and this is what the Planning Commission would like to do. And I'd like to have something like, this is the direction that the City Council would want, other than, you know, the usual. But if we could have something of an informal workshop, maybe 5 or 10 minutes or 10 or 15 minutes. I'd like to see it before we start delving into these codes because, as you'll probably recall, this can get to be a very lengthy and tedious process by doing a word by word, line item by line item analysis of a proposed code or ordinance. I'd like to get some guidance from staff as well as from the City Council as far as how should we best proceed to where we can have more beneficial discussions, because we've gone through 4, 5, 6 meetings just on one code. And I think that it would be more beneficial if we had some kind of a guidance rather than each one of us proceeding forth on our white horses trying to save the city from disaster.
I guess we could have a workshop prior to the next commission meeting that we delved into the code, development code. Is that possible?
Yeah, we can-
6:30 or something. Okay, maybe you could.
That'd be next meeting, if they want to do it in October.
Yeah, it'd be next meeting, and I won't be here, and I would really like to be here for that. So we can do it in the first. We can do it in the first meeting in October, which is the meeting that I would be. I am proposing at this time to take the EDC back, bring it back to the commission for public hearing.
Okay. So that, yeah, so the workshop would let us hash out any finer points. Hopefully there's nothing to hash out because we already did it, right?
Most of it.
I mean, you took our comments and you were gonna draft.
Well, I think what Commissioner Phillips is asking for, I'm not trying to speak for him, I think he's looking for direction as to the process, not necessarily for the EDC code. It's the process is what he's asking about, I believe.
Okay. well,
That's exactly right.
We can use the workshop to discuss that.
Right. We'd just like to get something of an overview. And the reason that this is in my thinking is not so much based on our past history in reviewing the codes and ordinances, but guidance and recommendations that I've received from all these conferences where planning commissioners from all over the state have weighed in on this, because developing ordinances and codes is a real big deal here in California because of all the development and land use issues. And I'm bringing some of that into my thinking and would like to see what the staff and what the city council, what their perspectives are on this issue.
What I would suggest is, because I don't think we're going to be able to get a direction from the city council as a whole, what I would suggest is that you talk to each of your respective council members, or to the, get set to see what you believe, or what they want some of that direction as well, if that's the case. And I think there's, the emphasis is to try to get the code, through the process and completed as well. There's a lot of sections that need to be done. The EDC was, I think it's 8 or 9 workshops that the Planning Commission worked on that. And there's in terms of how the process and how it can go through it, we're always looking for ways to do things more efficiently, more effectively, to get it, through that process, in a quicker manner, because 8 workshops is a lot of
Well,
time.
That was a,
on one code.
Yes,
and that was a big document. It
Yes,
was
it
a large,
is.
and it was a very important document.
yes, very
Um,
much so.
And if you, it would be, if you have that one document ready for us, I don't know if we can get that early, to look over. I know we kind of mentioned that before on one thing last year, if it was ready and if it was, instead of with our whole notebook, we kind of get it a little bit early if it's already, if you already worked on it, because there's a lot there to read and to go over. So I don't know if that's possible. I don't want to cause any extra work to
Okay.
staff. So it's just a thought. If you can't, that's fine too. Just a thought.
Okay, anything else? And having said that, do we have a motion to adjourn?